Hello YouTube, welcome back to the channel. Back again with the STI, and this is a follow-up video to the Racecomp Engineering Street or Superstreet 1 coilover install. It's been a while since that video, but I did want to have enough time to adjust the coilovers, get everything to my liking, and of course spend enough seat time to provide an honest review. Now before we get into that, let me just show you what the car looks like right now. And this is probably the worst time of day to be shooting. It is noon, so I have the sun directly on top of the car, but I gotta take every chance I get to record these videos. This is not what I do for a living. It's also very windy outside, so I apologize in advance for any wind noise that my mic may be picking up. Let me just do a quick walk around, show you a couple of different angles. And I am very happy with how the car looks right now. I don't think I'm going to touch this thing anymore for the time being. Now the first thing I did after I got the ride height set where I wanted it and the suspension had time to settle, and it does settle, so I had to actually raise it back up just a little bit to get it to where it is right now. I took the car back to apex alignment. I kept the alignment very similar to before. We only added more negative camber to the front wheel, so it's now sitting at 2 degrees, and the rears are shy of -3 degrees. Specs are on screen, but you can also check out my STI alignment video for I guess more details. Alright, so here we are in my favorite spot, of course, the driver's seat, and let's go over what these coilovers feel like. I will start by saying that I can only wish that we had better roads here in South Florida. This is mostly a boring grid of flat roads everywhere, and no fun back roads with a lot of twisties, etc., to even attempt to push the limits of a suspension or the car in general. And I am also reviewing this from the perspective of a daily driver, so you know, take that for what it's worth. However, I have maybe about 2,000 miles on this setup so far, so I feel like I can provide an honest review about performance and ride quality, which are the two main areas that I care about, again, from the driver's seat. So let's start with how it handles, and I can honestly say this does feel like an upgrade in terms of performance. The first thing I noticed right away was how there is minimal body roll, if any body roll at all, when taking turns or sorry, it's just Miami driving. So as I was saying, body roll is pretty much eliminated with this coilover in the settings that I have right now. Now I also noticed that there's a lot less bounce, so whenever there is suspension travel for, you know, whatever reason, you can tell that the dampers are absorbing that right away. So there's that initial movement, and then things settle down very quickly in an instant. I guess that means the car is a lot more stable, especially at higher speeds. If I'm going through sections on the highway where, you know, the road's a bit rough, or there's a bit of a turn, etc. And one thing I didn't really expect was how good these you know, damper settings. These coilovers are two-way adjustable if you count ride height and then the dampers, and you have about 20 clicks of range from soft all the way to stiff. And I just never expected each and one of those clicks to make such a difference in how the car handled, and in terms of ride quality as well. I even sent an email to Race Comp Engineering, you know, sharing my feelings about that, and you know, that I was very happy with that, etc. This is definitely not a gimmick where, you know, it's really soft or stiff and the clicks are there just for, you know, marketing purposes to say that they have 20 different settings. These truly make a difference as you go through that range, and I've had enough time on this setup so far to test a variety of settings in you know, over periods of days. I'm not just switching and going around the block and trying a different setting. I'm you know, I started all the way from soft, went all the way to stiff, and I've been trying everything in between over many days. So I would do my entire commute, or maybe spend a whole week on one setting to really get a feel for it, and then have a true reference when I started, you know, playing around with the other settings. I ended up right around the middle. Actually, I've been debating whether I like click number 10, which is dead center, or number 13 towards the stiff side. Those are so far the two settings that I think I like the most, and I just can't. I'm still on the fence on whether I want to be on one or the other. I'm probably gonna remain right in the middle on 10 because it gives me the best, you know, I guess, flexibility to accommodate most of the road conditions I find myself in. Now let's talk ride quality or comfort, which is at the top of my list on a daily driver, of course. And you know, this product is, I guess the name says it all, right? Superstreet is designed for street use, so you can expect that comfort or quality was part of the criteria for design here, and it does show. I was a bit concerned, to be honest, because I know coilovers can be rough, and I didn't want to be in a position where I felt I had to, you know, go back to my old setup and put this up for sale. And I'm happy to say that it's definitely not the case. This is for sure stiffer, and it's not as comfortable as what I had before with the Bilstein shocks and the yellow springs. But you also have to take into consideration the ride height. If I set this up at the same height as I had with my previous setup, you know, the Bilstein shocks with the springs probably did a better job at, you know, maintaining comfort again at that height. But considering I am much lower now, I went from about 20 millimeters all around with the springs to, I guess, maybe 35 millimeters all around on these coils. So it's not really an apples to apples comparison, but I can say that, you know, almost doubling the drop, or maybe doing another 50% drop, if you want to say that, did not decrease ride comfort by that amount. It is just a bit stiffer, and again, you have such a range to play with your damper settings that you can, I guess, compensate a lot for that. But you know, overall, it's definitely not unbearable. My wife's been on the car. I've had other people on the car before, and I haven't really heard any complaints about the ride being too stiff or anything like that. But you know, it is a coilover setup, and you have to go into it with that in mind, right? It's not it's supposed to be comfortable. Right now, I'm actually going through an elevated section on the highway where you have these, you know, big, I guess, joints. I don't know if that comes through the camera, but I'm going through those right now, and you know, I can feel a lot more of the road, that's for sure. But that's also expected when you're adding an aftermarket suspension setup that is not necessarily designed to, you know, absorb all of the road imperfections or vibrations. In fact, you do want to feel some of that lot more of the road, that's for sure, than before. And that brings me into, I guess, the next category that is often overlooked when people review or talk about coilovers, and it's road noise, which I guess has to do with ride quality. Additional vibrations and road feel will inevitably result in additional noise inside the cabin, so I do hear more of the road. And on a car like this, you know, STIs, WRXs, Subarus are known for not being the quietest cars inside the cabin, of course, so I didn't want to add too much more noise. And it is a little bit louder, but it's not really that bad. And one thing I noticed is that you can offset a lot of that noise by just putting on the right set of tires. I had the Yokohama Advanced Sports that are factory spec with the car after I installed the coilovers, and maybe about a month after, I have switched now to Michelin Pilot 4S tires, and let me tell you, the difference in road noise alone was worth the switch. So you can find the right set of tires and again offset a lot of that additional noise that you get inside. I can honestly say I cut the noise maybe in half, if I want to just, you know, quantify this somehow, just by installing these new tires. So that's definitely an option that you have to consider. So I think I've covered pretty much everything I had in mind for this review, and overall I can say I am very satisfied with this product, and I would highly recommend the RCE Superstreet 1 coilovers to any WRX or STI owners out there. I don't think you can get a better package at this price point than these, to be honest. Again, you have KW dampers, a wide range of adjustability both in ride height and damper settings, camber plates, and you know, the customer service and support that you get from Race Comp Engineering, which in my experience has been phenomenal so far. So if you do have experience with other coilovers, or you are considering the Superstreet ones and you have some questions, please drop those comments below. And once again, thanks for watching. I will see you all on that next video. Peace.